Good thing we don't have channels now.
What was that?
Nothing.
Okay. You guys do not want to know what we were just talking about.
No.
Let's just say we went live to stop that conversation from continuing. So yeah.
That was yeah.
Moving on. I blame you. So obviously you guys go down, you have some drinks. It is really funny. Listen, nothing about D12, Steve. Calm down. And you go drinking, you have a couple of you go downstairs, you have some drinks, you have a good time, so on and so forth. You finally got to see like the other, like, because 2 is one of those people that if you don't know him, he's the worst first impression. He's loud, he's obnoxious, he's physical. You know what I mean? He just is very, very overbearing.
He's a vandal.
But once you kind of like had that situation, don't get me wrong, he's not less physical. He's just he comes off as less abrasive because you're no longer like on the outside of all the jokes looking in, and so therefore some of the jokes are being poked at you. You're actually a part of the jokes. The jokes are directed towards you. Everything's kind of like you feel the transition being outside the circle and inside. And it's unfortunate because then the next day and the day after that, when Val is around you guys, it's not that the only way that he outright disrespects Val is he calls him the slaver. And it's
one literally on that first night drinking takes him aside and kind of just like I speak to him maybe after Rayron goes to bed, and I just tell him about everything that's happened and about how Valorant was integral to founding our nation, and more or less I tell him, no, seriously, stop, don't call him that.
Scott's like, what was that? I wasn't listening to any of it.
Oh, he actually wasn't.
That's my successful insight roll.
Sorry, 1 second.
Oh dear.
Just getting text.
How have you been getting on with? Oh, there we go.
What was that? Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
After Rayron goes to bed, he just talks to 2 and tells him everything, that's happened and how we found it, how we broke the curse and we found it, what do you call it, and that Valorant had been having visions, and more or less about, just about, fuck now, I've lost my train of thought.
It's okay. About the visions.
Basically, it was Valorant is our friend. This is everything he's done for us.
Mm-hmm.
Treat him with respect.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. He's just a slaver.
He's not a slaver. You've got to stop. He rules the city. 2, listen to me. It's okay with the jokes. Just leave the slaver part out.
I just want to make sure I understand this right. He's a Perrin. And you got a stick up his ass because he's from Paradel, right?
One nod.
And he's not a slaver.
Remember Ram? The one of our friends that trained with us, Perrin from Parandale.
He dead now.
Member of the Order? Well, he wasn't last I heard. Parandale, not a slaver.
Yeah, but he didn't know how to fight. He's dead now.
One just is like, do I have to punch you again?
I'm not saying I'd complain, but... Alright. We won't call the slaver a slaver. What word do you use for the slaver in this city?
One punches him.
It's one of those, like, he'll chuckle and whatnot, and then, like, what do you call him?
His name's Valorant.
Isn't that a woman's name?
This kid.
The one takes what he can get.
And so like next time he sees Valorant, it's again because he's very much on the outside of the jokes because he hasn't like bonded with them yet. He'll in the morning be like, "Morning, Val. Nice hair."
Thank you, I think. Morning.
No problem. Goes great with the shoes. And like he'll like walk by and just occasionally like once a day or so he'll toss you a compliment and be like, "It goes together."
Okay. Thank you.
Valorant's like, I've never hated anyone before, but I hate you.
What's this new feeling in my chest? This burning drive to plunge a dagger into your
It's
throat.
okay. Valorant is oblivious enough to just be confused by what's going on with him now.
Oh, that's so cute. It's like a dog like trying to get its food but doesn't realize it's covered or something like that. Or like a cat trying to get a laser pointer. Like, I don't get it. Why can't I
Yeah,
get
my cat ruined that game. I like turn the laser pointer on, move it around. She's like, and then she just looks up towards the light and she's like, I know where that's coming from, and then just climbs up and like rubs her face on it, like, yeah, I know where it's coming from. And I'm
You
like,
were outsmarted by a cat, just saying. So it's canon. So
you were outsmarted by a cat as well.
When?
Whenever you had a cat, which you did have.
I did for like a minute. Okay, like 3
Just saying.
years.
He Scott has told me this is canon. He left someone for the cat.
Wait. I don't think I did. Did I leave
No, I don't know whether you did. Just gotta go for it, you know.
Yeah, I was like,
just fucking like shot the dart.
Yeah, right.
I was like,
Sometimes you just gotta roll the dice.
I took the cat when I left someone because technically it was her cat.
There we go. You stole a cat off someone.
Well, she was like a little kitten, and the mother was for lack of a better phrase, a whore. I mean, like literally, the cat whose name is Brat. Her mother had like 7 litters because she was an outdoor cat that wasn't spayed. So it was just one of the many litters, one of the many kittens, and I was like, I like this one, and I took it. And then like when her and I broke up, I just kept it. So it was hey, either way. It lives at my in-laws' house, so it's still alive. Moving on. So we you guys are progress happens now. One, we're actually going to move the camera away from you for a little bit, and when we come back, it's actually going to be a simple check that you're going to make for what it is that you handle down there. We'll do a little bit of description. Let's go to the other two. The two of you are back at the kingdom. Is there anything that you particularly want to work on, any conversations you want to have, or do you just want to flash forward a little bit while he's handling that situation? Also, was there anything else you were trying to get off of Elliot? And of course, there was a correspondence that you were trying to do with Vigil.
Yes.
I would try and help make sure everything is going smoothly and non-aggressively with Vigil, but also just monitoring that sort of situation.
Yeah, so we sent a letter with the commander. Basically, it was, brief, cordial, pleasant, inviting the leaders of Vigil to meet with us in a neutral ground to have a diplomatic discussion, further to the short-term agreement of a area that we would not expand into, that would be protected.
Of course.
Basically. So we're waiting for sort of their hopefully we're going to get some form of correspondence.
The other thing I will do is I will periodically check in at the map room to see around. Well, I would wait until around the time when the team would reach the other the keep, the zombie keep. But I would periodically check in and make sure that the map doesn't have the blinky thing.
Yep.
Just getting ready, making sure they're not left on fucking hold.
Actually, Elliot would inform you, because obviously we talked to him about this kind of stuff. You and Elliot have a lot to discuss, especially the research that you were doing while you were gone and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But Elliot would tell you, oh, no, please, Chosen of the Hearth. They do not know about that function.
Perfect. Good.
They were given a banner, and they were told to hang it from the above the balcony. around near where the bird nests. But
So they're warned
they're
about the bird.
I don't think I warned them about the bird.
Oh dear.
Let's just hope that everything works out well. And
This will be great. I can't wait for them to be like, we're going to get paid so much gold, and then drop.
Well, does
Thud,
the bird
thud.
still come? Does the bird still come and land on this keep?
not in a long while.
Okay.
So the he says, but they know once they finish clearing it out, then it's their next task to hang the banner. They are aware of that, and then it would be our place to do the next step from there. I didn't want to inform them because while they were useful assets, and I did want to show appreciation, we cannot divulge all of our secrets to Vigil.
Thank you. That's good.
Of course. And was there? The two of you can go over the research that you were working on. Do me a favor. Roll me a. Could you try to translate this information to him? Roll me a knowledge arcana or a spellcraft, whichever's better for you. Check in your ability to try to explain this. Jeepers
Nice.
creepers. Does this include the? Oh, you don't know about that. Never mind. So
What?
So you have a plus 12. That's from probably from just all of your modifiers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I've been putting a point in at every level.
yeah, because that was at 3 points because you're level 3, right? Or no, 4 points because you're level
4
4.
points.
Plus
4
your
points.
charisma is a plus.
It's plus 4.
So that's 8, and then you also have the modifier for being a skill focus and modifier for being class skills, which is awesome. Cool.
Yep.
So the two of you discussed at length the details of what it was that you had researched, and he's very excited about it. However, once again, he cannot diverge much of his attention towards that at this moment because he's still trying to finish his from his patron, the work that he was doing before. So you guys are able to talk about that some more. Anything else you want to go over with Elliot, or are we just going to now skip to the next detail?
I think Elliot's told us everything relevant.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay, we'll actually go to 1 because his travel to where it is he's going is not that long. It's actually a little bit quicker than what it is you're going to get the correspondence for the peoples. 1, if you could do me a favor, what you're actually going to be doing to handle this whole situation, I need you to tell me your approach. Would you choose a stealthy approach? Would you choose a tactile, like a tactful approach? Or would you choose a run in there, full screaming bloody murder, bloodshed approach?
Uh-oh.
One would try a.
I imagine you're stealthy going up to the woods. I meant after you find the...
Yeah, so one would go in himself, turn invisible and start scouting out defenses as close as he could get whilst being invisible, giving himself time to get back to cover before the spell ends.
You could probably
and then
cast
he
that,
would
what,
try
twice safely?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he would try and surround them and then attack at night when they're hopefully sleeping.
Problem is, they're all underground, indoors, one entrance, one exit. So there is no surrounding them. It's it's a complex down there, so you definitely can't surround them that way either. If you try to surge in or anything like that, there are a bunch of people in that front room, and there's technically one guard even that's over by the entrance. But that person you could easily have, dragged away. That's not the most difficult thing. So that being said, now understanding the new approach, you're not going to be able to stealth and check out the entire place. You haven't found the slaves. You found the front room, which has a large water area, a couple of rooms off of it. One of the rooms holds storage of a bunch of goods. And the initial room, that you come down, which is a bunch of stairs leading into it, has a bunch of people inside there that are working or guarding. There is a room that leads off of it that goes to a bunch of supplies, and there's a tunnel that goes off of it into a large chasm area, legit like a chasm that drops beyond your dark vision sight, that has a newly crafted wooden bridge, like a hard bridge, like somebody just took a bunch of planks and kind of elongated them and made like a hard bridge, because there's 2 severed rope bridges, one towards the northern edge and this is across the middle area. but you can't really examine much beyond this. Like, for instance, you can choose to go across the bridge or not and examine that way. Which way would you go?
So you're saying I can choose to go across the bridge and examine,
or
or
not
what's the
go,
other option?
or not go across the bridge and examine the other stuff on this side.
Probably the stuff that's not on the side of the bridge, because it's immediate. That's going to be what we're coming to immediate, like before the bridge, right? So.
Sure. So when you go up in that direction, you're gonna find before you your spell starts to run out, and you're like, I gotta cast it again and start heading back for safety. You're gonna find another chamber where there's kind of like blood stains here and there, like old blood. You can actually kind of see it, whatnot about. But you can actually find like another chamber where they have some supplies kind of sitting there. You do find a stairwell that leads up and over to another door, but you can't really examine that much because you know that your spell's not going to last very long. And another door that you come up to and you kind of like open up and peek in. You can see there's literally a torture chamber inside there. And finally, one last door that opens up into a large room that literally has catacombs inside of it, like tombs inside of it. But again, even though there's another door that kind of comes off of there, your spell's kind of like wearing out. You're going to have to head back and inform them what you know. So on this side of the bridge is like a torture chamber. There's a couple of rooms, a bunch of storage, a bunch of guards, a chasm, so on and so forth. So that being said, do you want to try to have your men go in there with a stealthy approach, a tactful approach, which is kind of like try to draw them out, but of course they'll all be aware of you, or like a surge, run in there and try to overtake them approach?
I feel like a tactful approach, trying to lure them out, they could just lock it down. So I don't think that is the best way. I feel like maybe trying to stealth in there would be best. And if I can go in first, invisibly take out a guard or whatever.
It's like the next day sort of.
And try and aid them. Yeah, and try and aid them that way. I think that's the way he would go.
2 would be like, I'm good for sneaking. It's okay. I understand. You like to hide and don't like to fight like a man. So you sneak up ahead. I'll pull up the rear and clean up your mess. Because you leave one. Every time.
Do you want me to set you on fire again?
I'm sorry, did you still need the other testicle?
He just laughs and
one. Wait, 3?
Yeah, so that's the plan then. He'll stay at the back, and then I'll go in first, try and take out any lookouts or whatever.
All right. Why don't you do me a favor, and you're gonna roll me a stealth check for the initial part here.
Okay. So the initial part, I'm going to use my invisibility to get in as well.
You're not going to get a plus 20 for that, though, because you're doing a bunch of men. Instead, what I'll give you is a plus 5.
Okay.
Because you're representing your group.
He's like,
okay.
I'll take that.
Yep. All right. So plus 5 to this.
Okay. Are you happy with that roll, sir?
What am I at? 23?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have any luck, but I'd like to do it as quietly as possible, so I'm going to see if we have any.
Okay. Beautiful. You got a total of a 20, and that was the only one that was given to you actually this session.
All right, so that's 25.
Absolutely. So you actually go up to a 25, not 20, sorry, plus 5, 25. You easily go in there, that first guard that we had mentioned beforehand. It's kind of one of those things where your men, you wait until he kind of gets annoyed, bored, and kind of comes out and he's pacing. You're like, ready, aim, now. And 7 crossbow bolts, and drops. You guys immediately run over there and you grab him and drag him away off to the side where it's safe. And as you drag him away where it's safe, you kind of a bunch of men come over, they kick up a little bit of dirt to cover up the blood that would have been spilled. They throw some leaves on top of it to make sure it's completely settled so nobody would see that there was a mess there. Go, let's go. You lead them down and into the chamber. The door opens up to stairwell that starts up high and actually wraps down and low. And so one actually takes to stealth and starts walking around the stairwell and getting down as close to people as possible. He actually kind of makes his way over to the hallway that leads out and into the chasm chamber there. And he just sits there and waits. And from there, when he's waiting, he just like taps the brick, like the wall near where he is with his metal axe, like ting ting, like one of those things that he's still invisible, but makes a loud noise that makes everybody kind of like look up and over down the hallway at where he is, which is away from the door where everybody else would be coming in. And they all quickly file into the door, choose their target, and just start unloading crossbow bolts, like, and like quickly reload as quickly as they can and go. But of course, they don't kill everybody in their initial volley. Immediately, somebody's like, "Run, get aid!" And then like somebody literally starts running down the hallway to where one is standing there prepared, and he waits, and as soon as the person comes out, it's just a baseball swing down to the thigh, you know what I mean, chops out his leg right above his knee, and then Wise's like, "Ah!" You know, kills the guy as he's going, making himself visible and whatnot. More crossbow bolts come, and he, you know, kind of runs at a guy, hitting him with the axe, and like jumping up and like, you know, punching the axe deeper in, and that person drops, and everybody in this room is just killed. When you guys are kind of like walking in settled for a moment, there's a moment where you're just kind of like, okay, kind of like gather everybody, grab all the bodies together, see if there's anything of value, so on and so forth. And then like a door opens up as somebody kind of like looks out to see what the fuck just happened. And they're like, "Oh shit." And people go storming into where it was at the storage room areas. And like 3 men with swords just, you know, kill that guy. Unfortunately, in that initial room, there is a moment where something kind of goes sideways. Over by the large pool of water that I had mentioned, when you guys kind of like stopping, grabbing, the kind of gathering things together, one of the men that was over by the pool of water didn't notice a very large snake rise up out of the water and come jumping up and fucking fangs into the person, bite, and then just pumping poison into the guy, and is like constricting and trying to pull him back into the water. You guys are able to kill the massive snake that's inside there, but not without losing the man. So unfortunately, one of your men does die, but you do take out the snake with it. You know, you could pull him out of the water, drenching, you know, soaking wet blood, kind of like pouring out the area, but he doesn't make it. He doesn't die from drowning. He doesn't die from like the snake eating him. It's just over the course of the next minute or so, the snake bite overtakes him. Or it would have.
So it's the poison that gets him.
Or it would have. Except you have 2 with you. Who comes down and he's like, "Oh, you filthy fucking motherfucker." And literally goes down and says a prayer to Rogar and puts his mouth on the wound and is like, and just starts vomiting out poison onto the ground and actually saves the guy's life. Says a couple of prayers and literally closes up the wounds onto the person there and kind of like sits him up and says, "You fought good for a piece of shit. You sit here." And kind of like leans him up and grabs the snake out of the water that's floating there and kind of like throws it onto his lap, like freaking the guy out for a moment, and chuckles to himself and says, "What? It's good meat." and then you guys can continue the movement forward. So far, it seems like no alarms were raised. From there, you guys head over to the chasm area where honestly there aren't a lot of people, but there are a few hounds. It's literally one person and a few hounds, but you are aware of the fact that the hounds were there. They smelt you before, but couldn't really react because you were a good distance away. So they kind of like smelt something in the area, but didn't know what it was because of the gap. Your men were ready. As soon as they go in, fuck that dude. All of them just start shooting the hounds. Kill all the hounds that were inside there, and the guy that's over there too. It's one of those things where you guys try to take him out with the crossbows, but he ends up moving too quickly until literally he stops literally mid-run, dead in his tracks. As once again, 2 being with you is holding a chant, his hand out, and the guy's like literally frozen, solid, and then somebody lines up a crossbow bolt and hits him right in the small of his back. And another one right in the back of his head. He holds there for another couple of moments and then just drops like a sack of taters. You guys are able to infiltrate all the way up to the chasm. Do you cross or do you stay on this side?
So the chasm's where there's that bridge thing again, right?
Correct.
One would say hold, and he would have them hold position in cover, and he would go across the bridge with invisibility.
Okay. So this would be your second use of invisibility for this second day of your being there, because obviously you
Yeah.
This is the next.
That's all my second level spells for the day.
So you have them hold there and kind of like hang back, maybe down in the hallway where you guys originally came from, and you're gonna go creaking across the bridge, trying to make your way over there. Do me a favor, roll me your stealth check again.
Also, can I, before I cross, roll a perception and try and see if it's rigged?
Yeah.
Like rigged to,
Yes, you can.
collapse or anything?
Mm-hmm. Are you happy with that roll?
Gonna have to be.
Why?
Because we're all out of luck.
You never know. You can always try.
No, I need a 4.
Okay. So for you to be happy. So you go over and you start looking at the bridge. It's one of those things where you're not in a rush. So you kind of like go. So you're not like using what's it called, sift or whatever. So you go over. You're kind of like looking around and everything, and the bridge seems fine. And until you take like your first step on it, and you realize the bridge has like a point of weakness for a second. Like it's not your first step, like your second or third step. You're like, wait a second. It seems to be weaker in the middle for a bridge. It's hard planks, like divots like this. Like literally. And so you take a couple steps back, you go over and you look down, and that's when you realize, oh, much like putting a leaf inside of a table, there's literally blocks over in the middle of the bridge that are holding this half and that half together. And you realize there are ropes notched off. They're kind of like low profile and high. There's like twine or some sort of cord or whatever that's attached to those blocks. And there's definitely something that would be able to pull that and allow the bridge to just not falling into the chasm, but like kind of like drop to the sides of the chasm.
Yeah.
But you don't see where that trigger is.
Okay. Seeing that. I'm not going to go across at this time.
Okay. So you stay on this side. You're still invisible. Oh, so now you can cast your invisibility and stay on this side if you'd like, or not?
Well, I was checking the bridge out before I became invisible.
Of course.
So I'd just retreat back, and I'd say, I'd probably say to 2, I'd be like, the bridge is rigged. I can't figure out where. If I try to cross and somebody's on the mechanism, I'll just drop, and I don't know how long this chasm goes.
All right.
You got anything that could help?
Yeah. Rope. Make our own bridge.
I don't know if we have time to make our own bridge.
You grab the scrawniest of your men, tie a rope around his waist. We both give him a good hoist. We throw him across, and yeah, he becomes the bridge. I mean, if he doesn't make it, we got rope. We can, catch him on his way down. The men look at each other like,
I don't like it.
They all step back from this one scrawny guy.
One's like, we should tie a rope to him and get him to try and cross the bridge and tie it off. If he falls, we'll catch him. That's not a bad idea.
I guess we could do that one.
We don't need to throw him.
So you guys tie a rope around a guy, and you literally send him across the bridge.
I explained to him how the bridge works.
Of course.
And to try and distribute his weight.
Yep. Well, so
evenly.
2 things happen. One, at one point in time, he does step on literally a plank. The plank itself depresses down slightly, which causes a rope to pull, which unleashes it, and the whole bridge does go. And so he goes, ah! And you guys grab him, ah! because fulcrum. And so that sucks for him. It actually knocks him clean unconscious, which bad for his brain. But also, it triggers an alarm spell. And now you have a man dangling with 2 men holding the rope out of your... So you brought 7 with you, right? Including the one that led you in here. One's back there, sitting with a dead snake. One's dangling and unconscious. And 2 are holding a rope. Meaning you have 3 men with you and 2. And an alarm's going off. So stealth is out the window. What's your next approach?
Yeah. I'd order them to pull him up. And take cover.
So kind of retreat?
We can't get across the chasm.
But there's still... There's rooms off this side. On this side of the chasm. Because remember, last time you didn't cross the bridge.
Then I'd start heading towards those rooms. And I'd leave, So how many guards have I got left?
3. Yeah,
I have 1 take cover where he could yell if anything's going on, like if anyone's coming across the chasm or whatever.
Yep. We want those 2 to grab the unconscious one and more or less... So the 2 of them with the unconscious one retreat back to the guy that is over by the pool. So you have 4 of them back there. You have 1 sitting as a point for you, and 2 will travel forward with you and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So they do exactly that, but I need you to roll me a D20 plus 3, please, sir. So they're trying to pull that guy up from where it is that he's dangling, but unfortunately, because he was walking on the bridge and not just on the chasm, not just at the clean chasm area, the rope is literally kind of gets caught, he gets caught somewhat underneath the dangling bridge. So instead of being pulled from down, to try to make this an easy sight for you guys, so getting pulled from down below, up and onto he kind of gets pulled and kind of gets wedged underneath. So it's kind of and you can't just keep pulling because you're going to be smashing his head or whatever into where the bridge is. So they're trying to move it over, but there's literally posts on either side so they can't just like bring it over and drag him that way and pull him up. So they're literally struggling to get him up there. So their first attempt to try to pull him up is a failure, as the four of you are rushing, well, five of you at first are rushing off, and one stops and turns back. And the one that turns back is like, what's your name? Sorry, Chosen of the Blade.
Yes.
They're struggling.
Tie it off. Literally tie it to the posts.
You yell that over to them?
Yeah. They need to tie it properly. Tie him so he doesn't fall. Tie it to the post.
They care. They're gonna loop it around 3 or 4 times and toss it and do a quick little box knot or whatever on the other side to make sure it's tied. And he's dangling down there. And their original job is to retreat back to the hallway. I imagine they still do that. And so they're gonna run back down that way and leave that one there. Okay, and you're going to move forward. So you're in this other room that has a bit of supplies. Like I said, there's a hallway to your right that has a torture chamber and a room that leads into catacombs and another door off of that. To your left, there was a stairwell that went up, and honestly, you have bearings underground decently well. You know that if you go up the stairwell, it leads over towards the same direction that the chasm, if you were to cross it, leads towards.
What leads that way? Sorry?
So more or less, if you're heading north. If you were to cross the chasm, you would have head west, right?
Yeah.
When you come up into this room, you can head east, which is towards the torture chamber and the catacombs, or you could head west and upstairs that look like they head west.
That's probably the way to go.
Because it's more or less, it looks like it might be another way around the chasm.
I'll leave another man there.
Who goes first?
One's probably leading the way, I'd say.
Cool.
One.
So I'd leave one of the men at that junction. So if any troops start flooding in, he can once again notify us.
Of course.
From the catacombs area.
Of course. It's funny because I actually do have a map to make this very quick, visual, easy, but it's not on this campaign. It's on a different campaign. So when you go up those stairs, do me a favor, make me a dexterity save.
Reflex?
Yes, that one. So with your DC, with your 14 on the reflex save, you actually, literally the stairs beneath you, the steps beneath you, which are wooden, literally unhinge and open up to a nasty looking like barbed spiked area down below. But you see it as it happens, and you kind of like throw you like your leg falls in, but you like throw your weight to the sides. Your ass ends up sitting on the steps. It kind of like rolls you backwards. So you kind of like roll down into your shoulders and smack your head and whatnot. But you don't fall into the pit, and you're like, oh my fucking god! Thank God I didn't fall in there. But there's a pit that's open, and you can circumvent that by walking along the edges of the steps by like, it's maybe like half a step wide edge on either side that you can walk up to avoid it, and eventually get to the top of the steps, and it's safe. And there's a landing at the top of the steps with a door, again, like I said, that heads kind of like to the west. You go to approach the door.
Yeah.
Make me a reflex save.
I was going to say, before I do that, can I start sifting things, please?
No, that's fine. But the thing is, it's literally at the landing before you actually get, like, before you actually go to touch the door. It's literally once you get into the landing. You make me a reflex save.
Yeah, okay.
And then you can sift after that if you'd like. Okay. With your 8, unfortunately.
I'll just wait. Oh, fucker.
With your 8, unfortunately, it does not work.
That's a 9.
With your 9, unfortunately, it does not work. So literally, as you get up onto the landing, the center of this platform, which is about 9 feet by 9 feet wide, the center of it literally has like a cylinder, pops up with blades, 4 of them, sticking out, and just starts spinning kind of like a blender. And you notice it, but you do not step back quick enough. 2 things are going to happen. First of all, you're going to take 14 points of damage as this thing fucking goes shredding at your legs. Second of all, I need you to make me a fortitude save. Oh! Despite the fact that this thing went shredding at your legs, you were lucky enough that even though it tears up your boots and your clothing and your armor and whatnot, it actually tears into muscle and flesh. It misses all the important bits like tendons and whatnot. And so even though it fucking hurts and it's actually going to reduce your speed by 10 feet for a period of time, it does not hamstring you. So you're actually good to go there. As good as you can be to go there.
If I heal myself, will that help me?
Yeah.
Not have my speed reduced?
That actually just needs a heal check, which requires a minute. But I don't know if your character would want to spend a minute in this time.
No, it'll be fine at the moment then.
Okay. And so, seeing, like, obviously you want 2 to aid you. He just can't get up there and cast a spell on you at the moment because you're kind of in tight quarters, but he'll be able to shortly. So now you're at the door, and so obviously this thing happens, and you're like, and you kind of like boot it a couple times and like break the blades off, so that the blades just like snap, and now they're still spinning until like they're like a coiled tension kind of dies, and then they spin back the other way, and they spin back the other way until like eventually it just like the trap just dies. So it goes on for a while, but you broke the blades, so it's not really a concern anymore. You want to sift the door, correct?
Yeah. -5.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's not bad.
12.
So in sifting the door, you notice 2 things. One, this door is definitely a door that actually leads into another room. Like there's literally a room on the other side. This is literally a door. But 2, this door is designed to almost be like a false door because it has like a hard block, like something that you wouldn't be able to pick this lock. You would have to either use magic or sheer brute force to open this thing because it's barred off. This door is meant to be a decoy. You can tell because of 2 traps that you've already come to on the way up and the 3rd trap that's there. So you can literally see that if you were to turn the handle turning the handle would trigger another trap that would literally have a whole bunch of like small, because almost imagine like small crossbows, small darts would come shooting through the door, and you don't know if the darts are covered with a poison, but you imagine they are because they're not very large, and so probably wouldn't be enough to kill a man of your caliber in and of themselves. And so this door can be opened with sheer brute force, but there's no space to get a 10-foot run to smash into it, so you don't get the +2 from that. And there's no and there's no way to just simply open it.
Okay, my headphones died halfway through, but
you're fine. Short version.
Saying
you can try to smash through if you want, but there's no easy way to open. Funny enough, if you try to smash through, it does not trigger the trap.
Do I have anything that will help me? Give me 1 second. What do I got here? Yeah, well, I guess I'm going to try and smash through it.
Okay.
I think it's not going to trigger the trap.
If you look like you're going to do this, what's his name? 2 is going to be like, hey! Like you're looking like you're about to get ready to smash. Come here. Come here.
Walks back.
Vrogar's strength be upon you. And he casts his bull strength on you.
I'm going to guidance myself as well.
Okay.
Bull strength is +4.
You now 2.
It's enhancement bonus 4, is it?
Plus 4 to your stat.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And I guidance myself as well. So it's a strength check. Is it?
Yep.
Fucker.
That incorporates all the modifiers?
Yep. 8.
8 total? Gotcha. So you shoulder into the door. Well, if anyone's on the other side, they heard you.
I figured because the alarm was triggered anyway, so...
Well, you don't know where that goes to or like how far in that is and whatnot because it's a good distance.
Yeah.
Heavy stone. Anyways, so they heard you, and you actually do hear from back behind you, like around the corner and whatnot, like, Chosen, they're starting to amass on the other side. And he takes a pock shot and like tries to take cover around behind the thing. But they're on the other side of the chasm. There's no bridge. So as far as you know right now, you're safe.
Yeah, I'm going to try and do the door again. I'm like, it's 2, help me.
He's like, where? And there's like no space there where he...
More or less, just fucking ate another and put yourself behind me and just...
He's gonna try to stand on the top of the stairs
me.
and like try to smash the door with an axe at the same time, but like try not to hit you at the same time.
I thought I was more or less using my shoulder to try and get through it, but if it's the axe...
No, you are. But there's no space for him. More or less, he tries to aid, but it's more in thematic, less in mechanic. So...
Yeah. All right, well then I'll try again because we need to get through this door.
Roll a strength check. That 19 is actually a 20 because of your guidance, and a 21 because prayer all of a sudden falls upon all of you as Vrogar blesses his faithful soldiers and warriors. Let's not misspeak here. Faithful warriors, and you are shouldering against the door. Are you happy with your 21, or would you like to modify that a little bit more? You know there's a large beam that's blocking this thing because the door is not meant to be opened.
I'm stealing all the lucks.
I don't think the party cares.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. We don't know what will happen in the future. You don't want to look back and regret things. Look at that.
25.
Whee!
And look at that, you still have 2 more dice. So 25 total. The DC was a 23. 25 total. You go rushing at the door and you shoulder it, and he like hits it with the axe at the same time, and you go bursting through the door. And as soon as you come bursting through the door, you actually see on the other side of it, you're standing inside a surprisingly well-adorned chamber. I mean, we're talking like literally you come out next to somebody's nightstand adjacent to their bed. It was very much like, have you guys ever had a bedroom that had like 2 doors into the bedroom, but one of them we just put furniture in front of because you were like, well, I don't use this door. You know what I mean? So fuck this door. I have personally many times. So, and so literally it was like a nightstand, like against that door because it was like more or less forgotten as a door, and it was which came up literally adjacent to the bed. So the door almost like clips like the post of the bed as it comes flying open. The bed itself is like incredibly like fine, like furs and whatnot sitting on top of it, adorning it. There's a desk on the bed. There's literally a man that's standing there with a woman behind him. Both of them dressed very regal, clearly having like significance to them as they're standing there. And he has his hand on his hilt, like drawing a blade as you come bursting through. The blade that he's holding is actually a very well crafted, like a very, very finely crafted scimitar. My apologies, that he's holding in his hands. And the woman behind him is literally just like hanging back and like clutching her chest, like scared. But even though he's holding this blade, you get the impression he has formal training but no experience, if you know what I mean. And the whole room has like what do they call it? Like paintings on it and whatnot. It literally looks like you're inside like a wealthy noble's like chambers in like his own mansion or castle or whatever, right? And you come bursting through the door. And as soon as you come bursting through the door, you hear, "You're welcome!" And as 2 takes the credit. And that man that's across the room is like, "Hey! Hold there! You do not know who it is that you mess with."
One just immediately says, "Throw down your weapons, get on your knees, or die." And he advances, and he's making an intimidate check.
Swift intimidate, I imagine. Because you already did actions.
Yeah, if it's not narrative, then you're trying to steal my swift action. Yeah.
And what do you roll for your intimidation check? You can...
Well, it's a 26, thanks.
So you get a 26 to intimidate, and he's like, "All right," and throws the weapon on the ground, like drops to his knees, and she's like, "Wait, really?" And he's like, she's like, "Really?" He's like, "Ugh." And she's like, "But sit." And then like you come walking closer, and she realizes exactly how massive you are, and she sees 2 come walking around the corner with the fucking crazy look that he is, and everything. He comes walking. "Oh, we found these slaver cunts," and comes walking in, and they're just. She's like, "Ah!" And she drops down, and the guy's like, "Oh no." Like you can literally see like a look falls on his face as he realizes he's probably not going to survive this. And he looks down at his weapon, but one approaches and just like kicks the blade, sliding across the room.
And we have 1 soldier with us, I believe. Just 1 left.
1 left, correct?
Because I'll have him tie them both up.
Yep. And there's a door, of course, leading into this chamber on the other side.
Yeah, I'm getting ready at that door in case anyone comes bursting in. I say to 2, we're going to use these 2 as bargaining chips. We want our men back.
Door
That's why we're here.
Door does come bursting open, and the person on the other side is a rather frail-looking person that's literally holding a book in one hand as they come walking in. They're apparent.
It's a trap.
They're about middle-aged. They're about middle-aged, so maybe like in their late 40s or so. They're holding a book, and they open the door, and they look just like completely perplexed, and they immediately like, and they go to like react, to like look down at their book and try to like cast something out of it. But unfortunately, they were not prepared for the situation. 1 is prepared, and so 1 can immediately like go over and act. What would you do to this person? Would you like to ask them a question?
Yeah, I would definitely like to do that because they're trying to cast a spell. So I'm assuming this is a surprise round, kind of thing, because I was literally prepared for that.
Yep.
So yeah, he is going to hit him.
Yeah, go ahead and make an attack roll. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong campaign. Oh, that's a beautiful chance to hit. You roll your damage, sir. 13 damage. So you literally, he opens up the book and starts casting the spell, and literally is coming to the conclusion of the spell, looks up at you trying to get the magic out, and literally you just swing the axe, chopping off 3.5 of his fingers as you embed the axe right into like a diagonal side of his face, and it's and you just rip the axe free with a boot to the chest, and he just goes flying back into the other room and dies. The other room that you see on the other side has a huge table set up, the whole apothecary, a whole bunch of like notes and shit like that. There's shelves upon shelves of different like salves and liquids and all sorts of stuff that's inside there. You can see that there's just a whole bunch of supplies that are inside this chamber, and the door that's on the other side as well. You're muted, buddy.
There's a door on the other side of the chamber as well.
There's a door on the other side of the chamber, exactly, sir.
So I grab the book and I throw it to two, and I say, "Chuck that in your bag. We'll bring it for Rayron."
He was not paying attention, so it kind of like hits him and falls on this floor, and he gives you like a grunt of acknowledgement as he grabs the guy that is being tied up and just starts like fucking smashing him in the face. You know what I mean? As hard as he can. Looking to.
I'm like, we need him conscious.
What?
He needs to walk. He needs to walk. We're bringing him with us.
And like hits him like one more time, like one of those ones where it's gonna take him like a minute to see straight afterwards as he hits him one more time. And he looks up at you and he's like, I hate slavers. And he looks at her and he's like, you're lucky he stopped me. And then gets up and starts, he puts the book inside of his bag and walks through the door over with you and says...
The soldier has the woman and he has the man.
The soldier's tying them both up and watching both of them. He joined you in the other room.
Yeah. So I'm having them like brought along with us. And I'm going to ask the woman, I'm going to say to her, actually, I'm going to cast a spell, interrogation, as we walk. So she gets a saving throw, DC 14.
Probably going to fail that. It's a will save, right?
It is a fortitude.
Oh, fortitude save. She's definitely going to fail that one. Yeah, fails horribly. She's a common person.
Yeah. So I say to her, answer my questions, and you truthfully, and you'll suffer no pain. Who are you, and why are you here?
I'm his wife. I'm here because he's made me be here. My apologies. She actually suffers pain on that one.
Nice.
1d4, but what's your wisdom modifier?
3.
I can roll this for you really quickly. So 1d4, 3. There you go. So she suffers. Oh, jeez. That literally is so much pain it knocks her unconscious. Like, and like falls unconscious. I didn't expect it to be that high. I rolled max. So she literally just suffers so much pain and she passes out. Sorry.
Oops.
She's not. She doesn't take damage.
She takes 1d4.
Only if she does not answer, is it? Or is it, am I... you can ask one. The target can either answer the question or take...
but they're compelled to answer truthfully.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have to make a sense motive versus her bluff at -4.
My apologies. Okay. So yeah. You make a sense motive. Sorry. My apologies. I misread the spell.
Yeah.
More or less, you get a +4 to sense motive is the easiest way to do it. Oh, jeez. Okay, you know that she is definitely his wife, but why she's here is definitely a lie. Like, you can tell that she was lying when she's saying why she's here.
I turn to her and I say, you lie to me one more time and I have 2 take off your head. And I look at her. I look at over to 2 and I say, get ready.
He goes, honestly, probably going to do it anyways. And gives her a smile. And she's like, fine. He's here because I brought him here.
Why? She has not answered why.
She's...
All this time we're still walking to the door. One's even going to kind of brace get beside the door, ready if somebody bursts through it again to attack him while he's talking to her.
She looks and she's like, "Prophet."
One looks at two and says, "Wait." And he says, "Where are our men?"
Your men?
Yes, our men.
Your men? Sorry, soften the voice, the lady. Your men?
Yeah. Are they still here?
That was a question. When she said your men.
Okay. Say the men taken from Cursefall. The men from Cursefall that were taken.
Men from the soldiers?
Yes.
She looks dejected, like, uh-oh. And she's like, well, they're not all here.
Where are they?
One escaped, and about half of the others were already sold.
Where are the rest?
She gestures more or less back through the doorway that you came.
How important are you? He says.
She calculates her answer, kind of like judging the question, and she's like, not very important. Not very important.
Sense motive.
Yep. You do not believe her.
So here's what's going to happen. You're going to negotiate right now the withdrawal of the force here and the handover of all slaves taken, and you will live. If this is not amenable to you, we can just finish this right here. Do I need to make a check for that?
Yeah, honestly, it's intimidation. I imagine you give her 26. She believes you, and she goes, deal, absolutely, deal. All slaves.
And
all
how would you go about doing that right now?
I will go and gather up all the soldiers and leave.
You're not fucking going anywhere. Are you gonna I'm not gonna let you go.
My husband can do it?
No. We'll just take you with us. Will the soldiers obey you?
To their dying breath.
Good. Okay. We're going to take you along with us. Let's go.
She leads you throughout this complex. Through this door, there's the hallway that kind of like leads. There's more or less on this side of the chasm, there's two hallways that lead out into the chasm. Those are two.
Sorry, Scott. I need a sense of motive on her unless you want to incorporate it as far as will they listen to her?
Honestly, you believed her.
Okay.
Yeah. So she leads you through. There's two more large rooms on this side. One where a bunch of men would have like bunks set up and whatnot where they could have slept. Another that's kind of like their recreational area where there's like literally a table set up where they're playing cards and whatnot. There's a bunch of like loose silver and copper on the table, supplies of food and whatnot for themselves. So there's like that on this side of the place. There's all of that. On the other side, there's, like I said, there were the supplies that you saw beforehand that were more probably trade goods. There's literally a torture chamber set up where there's nobody currently being tortured or nobody even manning the place. But there's definitely a torture chamber, a whole bunch of different weapons that are old and rusted and nasty for doing that side of stuff. There's a place with catacombs. Though you notice that there's no bodies inside I'm saying catacombs, sorry. There's a bunch of like sarcophagi and coffins in there, but like not sarcophagi that are meant to like built in here, ones that can kind of be like lifted and moved, but none of them have any bodies in it once you kind of check it out. Off of that room, you do find one more room, a very, very large room, like long room, that has a whole bunch of slaves in the northern edge of it, chained to a wall on the left and right side, east and west side of it. And on the southern edge, there's through a cage, there's a bunch more slaves there's behind a cell, also chained to a wall. Inside there is going to be where you find not only your soldiers, but pretty much anybody that's of physically capable means. So it looks like they probably know how to fight or have a good tone to them, so on and so forth. they're all going to be like that double locked. The ones on the northern edge are all like clearly like typical servant kind of slaves. But both on the northern wall and the southern wall, crucified, are corpses of people that have long been dead, long been tied up. So it's not like with nails, right? But like, tied there. So like old skeletons with a little bit of tissue still on them. But like to the point where there's not enough rot that you have to worry about like disease spreading. But it's a message to the slaves that are inside there of what happens if you like act out of turn. There are slavers inside there. Even though she said that all the men would listen to her, they all do listen to her. All of the soldiers inside the place that remain. They stand down immediately when she gives the command to do so. However, the two slavers in here do not. With whips and weapons at the ready, they look to fight you. But that's okay. The two of them against 1 and 2. I mean, maybe 2 of them against one of you would have had a chance. Maybe. But 1-on-1, there is no chance. The 2 of you easily defeat them. However, 2 finally getting an opportunity to kill a slaver destroys him in the most gruesome fashion. We're talking like runs up similar to before, throws the axe, which clips the guy but doesn't like quite kill him. Tackles him to the ground, starts like beating him while he's on the ground, stands up and stomps him in the face a few times, and then like looks over at the one you're fighting like furiously, like looking to see if you hadn't killed him yet, and then wants to go over and just join in and start stomping the guy because in his mind, slavers are amongst the most horrible things that can exist in this world, and they need to die horrible deaths. They don't get any grace. They don't get hangings. They don't get beheadings. You die horribly. And so he goes over and looks to aid in your fight. All the slaves that are in there, some of them are happy to see you because they know you. They know they're being liberated and they're rejoicing. The others are disgusted, horrified with what it is they're seeing. You can clearly tell in their eyes, these are people that have not known freedom. These are people that have probably been slaves for either many years or their entire lives. And so what they're seeing is just a new gruesome owner coming in as opposed to liberation. However, in a very gruffly handled fashion, they are corrected in their understanding. As 2 approaches them, and with his 7 charisma, handles the explanation of the situation going on before them and the freedom that's being granted. So the 2 of you with your soldiers easily sweep through this place and liberate all of it and gather together all of her men. Now, it is important to note that all of her men just look like thugs. That's all it is. They just look like thugs that are serving some seemingly noble woman who is yet to give you her name. But we can correct that in a moment. Roll me a knowledge local, please. Beautiful. They all look like thugs. Their clothing is not uniform at all. But the way that they speak, the swagger that they carry, and even the type of clothing that they wear, all points to one direction. Clearly, these thugs are in fact men of Hodgwen. Not all men,
because,
soldiers of
yeah.
Hodgwen.
So we've got the ones that are in the complex, right? They're all surrendered and thrown their weapons down and all that.
They probably haven't all thrown their weapons down, unless like specifically. But they clearly are like when she says, "Do not fight, surrender." They're all like, "All right," and we ain't fighting. But I mean, they're not all looking to like throw down their weapons. That's gonna have to be done at like blade point, because these are individuals still looking to survive.
Yeah, more or less. One turns and says, he has probably the soldier with a knife to the chick's throat, the lady's throat. He'll have 2 throw the husband to the ground and just kind of put a foot on him. And he'll say to them...
He doesn't put a foot on him. He does a drop heel kick with heavy boots and thick thighs onto the small of his back, probably sending him incredible pain, and then puts as much pressure onto that afterwards as he possibly can.
All right, so then Are we regrouped with our soldiers now? Like, is this...
Everybody's going to be together and probably not near the front room. This is going to be like deeper in, probably over the catacombs, right outside. Catacombs is what I'm calling them. Right outside where the slave chamber is.
One says to the crossbowman, he just says aim, and then he looks at the people and say, you have a chance. You're coming back to Curse Fall with us, or you die here. And he's going to make a bluff check.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see the result. There we go. Are you happy with your 20, technically 24? Because this whole scene has prayer added to it.
Yep, I'm happy with the 24.
Okay. You say that to the men. The soldiers, I should say, because some of them are women. The soldiers, correct? Not to the nobles.
Yeah.
Okay. It's one of those things where some of them, like, you can clearly tell they're looking to fight. They're looking to draw their weapons. But as others start to throw down their weapons and whatnot, and others are like, all right, we'll come with, so on and so forth. Finally, it's like makes its way around to even the most obstinate one is like not happy with their decision, but throws down their weapon as well. To be clear, you brought with you in total 7 soldiers, plus you and one. One of them is, even though he's with you, he's like all sorts of messed up and isn't really able to fight. He's more, slunking to the side. But one of your old soldiers that has been a slave for a while that can pick up his weapon in its place, and others will gladly grab weapons and hold them. So you're actually bolstered with more. However, they still outnumber you. They actually have in total 16 soldiers there, plus the 2 nobles. So they still outnumber warrior-wise. But if you can count all the non-combative slaves, you also very much outnumber them. Sorry.
Yeah, I asked the slaves to I asked our rescued soldiers to collect their weapons, and I tell them to lay on the ground. I'm going to tell them they're going to be restrained, and then we're leaving.
Yeah, restrained to leave. Like, so you say lie on the ground, you're going to be restrained, and we're going to leave. And with the explanation that they're going to be restrained, and you probably start pulling out rope or whatever, adding to your check. They do exactly that. They lie on the grounds, and again, some of them are like not fucking, but it's one of those. They see everybody else around them doing it, so they're like, fine, they do exactly that.
Okay, so all the weapons are away from them.
Yep, and they're all lying down, and or at least, if not fully lying down, definitely like sitting. You know what I mean? Because they may be being a little obstinate, but they're all down in kind of like a prone position.
Yeah. Okay. So now that they're restrained and they're on the ground, one turns to the woman and whispers in her ear.
Do you actually spend several minutes to have them all tied up? Or are you just leaving them?
They'd need to be tied up.
So there'd be like a probably like a 3-4 minute time passing as this happens. It's like
and one would stand next to the woman with his axe at her.
Yep, that's fine. And she understands. She's been honest with you after a point. She's been honest with you and understands that she's going to be let free. And to her, these are just soldiers, and they'll also be let free. It's a transaction. She's losing a lot of profits today. And so and that's kind of like the vibe you get off of her. Like I said, it takes several minutes. The other freed slaves that were of Cursefall but aren't currently armed will go over and do the tying. It is not gentle tying, and there are a couple of cheap shots that are thrown in there. You can see that 2 gives an appreciative look at them when they do that, and kind of goads it on but 1, I imagine, just lets things transpire. Finally, they're all tied up.
I'm going to ask them, is there a commander among you?
She clears her throat and says, me.
Okay. I start to move her back, and I say, so you work with Hod Gwen. Do you work for or with?
You can see there's a moment where she doesn't want to answer. The spell's no longer on her. She doesn't want to answer, and so she doesn't answer you right away. She's kind of
He cast it again.
Okay.
Another will save.
Thank you, sir. I did fortitude save, correct?
Oh yeah, fortitude. Sorry.
Okay, so I actually have a modifier for will. I have a +0 for fortitude.
Yeah.
If it was will, I would have passed it, but I rolled a flat 13, no modifier, so she fails. So she's like forced because she starts to feel the pain burning from inside. She's like, both. I am separate of Hod Gwen, but still have significance in the city. My husband is a part of council.
Okay, so at that, he looks to two, and you see a big smile come over his face, and he looks back to the tied up soldiers, and he just goes, and then he looks to the men and says, and just looks at them, and then because they're flat down, tied up.
Yep.
And he just like points.
So the men are looking to make this quick. Even the ones that were slaves beforehand, these aren't bloodlusty people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like some of them actually feel uneasy with the execution style that you're about to do. You can see some of your men aren't happy with it, and so they're very hesitant. And so it's much like I don't know if you've ever had to like say kill a mouse or something like that in real life. You almost feel like, oh God, I can't believe I have to do this. And then like you do it because it's like it's invading your house. If you don't kill it, it's going to have 1,000 more of them. So you can't just like put it outside. It's going to be back in an hour. So it's like they feel uneasy doing it, but it's not a mouse. It's a person. You know what I mean? And the ones that like were slaves, they're happy to like get a bit of revenge, but they don't enjoy it. It's just quick and make it as quick as possible. Some of them are even to the point where like they don't even want to go towards them. They like line up the crossbow for like the skull and take a shot. Mm-hmm. However, two is a different conversation. He loves.
I have her by the head, and she is watching too.
Mm-hmm. He loves every bit of it. He goes over and he like stomps down on one of them's back of their head like 3 or 4 times. Another one, like a female soldier, he like steps on her hair so she can't like move too much, and like chops off like the top of her head. So like literally like the top of a skull comes out, and like the brain like spills out and makes a mess. Goes over to another one and he like hacks 3 or 4 times at the spine. Like it's one of those things where slavery is horrible, and these people are slavers, because even if they are not directly slavers, they know exactly what's happening here, and they are willing to participate in what's going on. These are evil people that need to be appropriately handled. They need to suffer for all of the crimes and horrors that they've put upon the others that have suffered from their lack of action and their willingness to go along with it, right? So the like 4 people that he kills, it is horrifying. Like one of those things where one is accustomed to this, so he's fine with it. But literally everybody else in the room gets queasy. She literally vomits. Like it's disgusting what you guys witness. Yeah. There's a lot of screaming and horror and whatnot, but eventually it's quieted. Even the slaves that were let free, because they're still there, they're not like running out or anything yet. They like literally go back into the room where they're in chambers. Some of them doing a cower in fear because again, this is too much for them to process. It's gross.
Yeah. All right. So to make the rest of it quick, I need to ask her any more guards. That's the other question. Like, is there anyone else in here? You know what I mean?
She's horrified, and because she's bound, she can't even wipe the vomit that's kind of like on her chin and the side of her face and whatnot. And she's like, and she like is paralyzed with fear, so she can't even answer.
She takes damage.
It's not that she's not willing to; she's incapable of answering due to fear, unless I'm misunderstanding the spell. It's not willing. It's not lack of willingness. It's just paralyzed with fear. Nope. Can either answer the question or take damage.
Rip this lady.
Oh God. Okay, well, let's see if I roll what I did last time. Actually, she has 7 health. She's still conscious. She's racked with pain, and she's like, no, no more. And that's a double entendre. When she says no more, she means no more pain. Triple entendre. No more pain, no more horror, but also no more killing. Like,
And then he says, "Where's your money?"
Your money?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of it stored here. Most people don't know this place exists, so it's kept here. It's kept here, and I can show you where it is. And the others are at the bank, and other finances there, but here it's mostly here. Her husband, who was beaten the shit out of before, he's just cold, quiet. His way of handling this fear is just quiet obedience, and just like paralyzed fear.
Yeah. All right. So
it is important to note that everything you taught when you were a kid was wrong. When you were afraid, it is not fight or flight. It is fight, flight, or freeze. And she was very much a fighter, and he is very much a freezer. So he is just paralyzed. He's useless.
all right. So for my soldiers, I'm fine with, but the slaves I need to talk to.
Yep.
In which I'm going to tell them to return with us to our city. We've liberated them. They will live free there. They will be housed and, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to say, if you don't, you'll be recaptured and you'll die. And I'm going to use intimidate, and I'm going to act as a diplomacy because of my trait.
That was a roller coaster and a half of emotions.
You take a 26 on diplomacy is more or less what you're saying. But like really scary diplomacy. So I don't think
it's more or less like it's a diplomacy, like
aggressive negotiations.
But literally a tactic you're able to utilize as like an advantage on this one is not all the slaves, because some of them have had a rotation, but literally one of the people that was trapped with them about 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, is here back with you, armed and trying to liberate them. So they have that as like a point of like, no, this is legit.
Yeah.
And so of course they are scared into agreeing with you. Okay.
But to note, it's a diplomacy. It's not an intimidation.
I know.
They're good.
Yeah.
They're not,
Yeah, it's not one of those things where it has a negative side effect afterwards. There's a limitation to that ability, but you are correct. Yep.
So he also then explains to everyone there the reason they had to kill all the soldiers. They're all from Hodgwen. And if a single soldier escapes and reports back that it was us, it's going to cause us problems more in the immediate. Whereas all these dead bodies are going to be thrown into the chasm, and it'll be as if nobody was ever here.
Funny enough, last time when there was in the Patreon game, when the one person actually got to witness what happened post combat when everybody else fled, he literally watched the commander of this area just be like, just throw the bodies in the chasm. You know what I mean? Like of their own soldiers, they didn't care. So it's kind of funny. So anyways, they do that. She's literally vibrating with fear now, and is walking, she's capable of walking, but it definitely at a slower pace and everything.
And we want to loot the place as well.
Oh, looting the place is going to take some time. And I actually want you to do me a favor. I want you to make a global what is it called? Perception check for this place. And you can't just take a number because it's for all of the people searching over a period of time.
Okay. So it's just my base perception modifier.
Correct. And you can, of course, log it if you'd like. Would you like to modify that? Okay. So one of the things that you notice is actually...
We need some of that BP back, boys. Spent too much.
On top of everything that you find inside here, which I can go over that shit later on. Inside the catacomb area, the area that has all the sarcophagi and the coffins that are inside there, which you don't really know the significance of that yet, but that's fine. There apparently is a wall over there that when one of you people are checking it out, they kind of feel a bit of a gust coming off of this. This is actually very specifically two that notices this. And he's like, hey, one! Get that ass over here. I can't hear you.
I go over. I go over there. Do I also get that plus from the thing before, or is it just I don't have any added modifiers.
Prayer? Yeah, you have a 22.
Yeah. Okay, sweet. Good. Yeah.
So you come over, and he's like, hey, feel this? No, dummy. And he takes your hand and puts it over into like an area where there's a bit of like a fissure in the wall. There's always fissures in walls. And you actually feel a bit of like a draft coming through.
Sift it.
You cast Sift. Go ahead, roll another perception.
It's -5.
That's okay. It's also +1. And so you actually go, oh, there is definitely an open area on the other side of this, wall. But this is not a secret door or anything like that. This is a wall.
I'd ask her what the go is.
She has no clue.
2. How are we going to get through here?
He laughs and he like grabs your arm and like drags you back because you guys can step back like 30 feet from the wall. And he's like, hey, one with the bigger hole buys the drinks. And he starts like running at it. And you guys... What'd you say?
This guy's such a bonehead.
And so you guys go running through and like smashing through the wall and whatnot, and like 2 or 3 shoulder, you actually break through the brick. And the brick literally falls on you guys, and it's not graceful. It's like, ah! You're running and smashing into a wall, and bricks are falling, and the whole place. But when you open up on the other side, is a large chamber that is, when your eyes kind of settle and you can see, everything that is in this chamber has long since rotted and fallen apart. But you see that the chamber itself actually has a total of, what is it? My apologies, 8. Hold on, let me think for a second. 8 pillars that are inside of it. That are all the pillars of the years that were aligned along the edges and whatnot have kind of fallen over and collapsed onto the ground. But written, and you kind of go over and clear up the dust, along all those pillars is a ton of text written inside Mull. On the far side of this very long chamber, when I say very long, I mean because the chamber itself is
Me and Tesh are like, no.
It's about 20 feet wide, but it's about 80 feet long. On the far side of the chamber is a massive pool, a fountain pouring into a pool, and water that's always flowing through it. As the two of you approach that pool, you can actually see the water itself, because it was just normally trickling as like the fountain was like pouring water into the pool, and the pool was just rippling as you would normally expect. As the two of you approach it, you can actually see the pool start shifting and moving in a strange way. The two of you obviously immediately react to the danger, like react and start pulling back and whatnot. But as you pull back, it kind of like settles down and just starts reacting normally again.
Can I make I don't think I have any check for that. Can I make a religion check?
It's going to shift,
I don't know anything.
come up, and it's just going to be a chest full of gold.
It's just like Varon just appears in the doorway. My mole ruin senses are tingling.
I would leave it.
Okay.
I would leave it because I plan to tell them about it and maybe come back here.
Sounds great. Beautiful. And so you go and you're able to collect all of the fun stuff that's inside this place. And again, it is not something that, even if you have the slaves, which why wouldn't you, carry a whole bunch of shit to transport out of here with you. Even if everybody grabs as much supply as they could, even if all of your soldiers, everybody, so on and so forth.
And all the horses?
Everything
And
that
all
you
the
can.
king's men.
There is not enough to carry everything out.
Okay, well, we take as much as we can and we hide the rest.
Bury the rest, dwarf style.
Well, I mean, you don't need to hide the rest. It's literally just leave. Like she said, most people don't know this place exists, right?
Okay, yeah.
Now, what do you do with her and her husband?
They coming back with us.
Sounds great. And with that, why don't we take a quick little break? Because I imagine one is going to be surprising the party with what it is he's transporting. But also when we come back, the party had some visitors. We'll be right back.
Oh no.